Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out this evening. We're going to start right on time, as we promised. Welcome to the 2013 by-election, empty council seat, and mayoral all candidates debate. My name is James Miller. I'm the editor of the Penticton Herald, co-sponsors of the event, along with the Penticton Lakeside Resort. Thank you to the staff of the Lakeside. This is about the 4th or 5th meeting that we've done with them. Where would we be without them? Thank you very much. Great corporate citizens. And also, thank you to the Penticton and Wine Country Chamber of Commerce for their invaluable assistance in helping this evening. And they're all out there. So actually, they're going to do crowd control. So should I be able to incite a riot tonight, they will look after it. So again, welcome. Thank you for coming. This is in 2 parts. The first section is going to be 1 hour and 5 minutes, and then we're going to have a quick little break. And if you'd like to stick around for the mayoral candidates, I'm sure they'd like to see you, or vice versa. So we have a lot of ground to cover tonight. We're going to begin with a 3-minute address. There'll be a warning bell again at 2.5 minutes, and they're going to introduce themselves, and then we are going to have pre-read, preset questions. So we drew randomly, and our first speaker tonight for his 3-minute opening remarks is Andre Martin.
It's going. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow candidates. Thank you all for taking the time to come out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. I wanted to share with you a few reasons why I put my name forward to run for City Council. Firstly, I love this city and realize how lucky I am to be able to work and live here. If elected, I have 4 items I would like to get working on, which I believe will make Penticton an even better place to enjoy life. Economic development is number 1. It starts with a strong economic development department. I will be pushing for more resources from within the city to assist Colleen Penticton, our economic development officer. Colleen is a great talent and needs help to service our existing business community, help all our businesses grow, and work to attract new entrepreneurs to our region. Also, opportunities do lie with the regional hospital tower expansion, and we need to target them as additional business opportunities for our health sector. A strong, flourishing business community leads to more employment, more investment, and more opportunities for us to sell our homes, our businesses in the future, while providing options for our children. Number 2 is neighborhood associations. I wanted to create a framework to form neighborhood associations in Penticton. Who knows better what creates a thriving neighborhood than those who live there? I want to prevent scenarios that create conflict, similar to what happened with the residential area winery, and strive to empower neighborhoods like we saw with the Gahan Area Park. Number 3, youth engagement. Engaging youth in the civic process is not an easy task. I see neighborhood associations as a way for the youth to see their impact in the city as an immediate positive matter. I also will push to create a new city committee of students only, which focuses on youth needs in the community and what they see as keeping them here in the future. Finally, I believe it's time to take a serious look at our relationship with the bordering regional district areas and examine the opportunities boundaries expansion may bring, with an end result of smaller government. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Speaking second by random draw, Katie Robinson.
Mr. Moderator, candidates, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to see everyone here this evening. My name is Katie Robinson, and I'm an experienced businesswoman with a strong financial and management background. I had the privilege of representing Penticton as a city councillor and an RDOS director from 1990 to almost the year 2000, which makes me an experienced councillor. And because this is a by-election, with only 1 year left in the term, a vote for me means that you know that the person that you elect is going to hit the ground running and they won't have to learn the ropes. I have walked the talk and I have a proven record of sound decision making. Fiscal responsibility for your tax dollars has and always will be my main focus, keeping our budget under control and maximizing our assets such as the Trade and Convention Center and the SOEC. As a financial planner, I know how to hold the line on expenses, and I'm on record for having done so in the past and will continue to do so in the future. I believe that communication is one of the keys to good leadership. And I would like to see a return to the committee of the whole format in council chambers. These meetings are open to the public and the media, and it's a really good way for interested parties to get a feel for where their council is headed, especially with their decisions. I am well known for keeping my cards on the table at all times and being a straight shooter. With my experience as a trustee for the Penticton Regional Hospital and having been a vice chairman of the Union Board of Health, which is now Interior Health, I'm up to the challenge of getting our new hospital expansion built as soon as possible, as I did previously with our public health care center on Carmi. I understand the process of lobbying other levels of government and the years of commitment that it takes to see a project of this size through to completion. If elected, this will become one of my primary goals, as I have always thought that healthcare as an industry would be well suited to Penticton, creating more employment opportunities and enhancing our economy. Our seniors will have to wait for another day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, 3 minutes does go fast. Speaking third by random draw is Lynn Kelsey.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen and fellow candidates. Thank you for investing your time to be here this evening. When people like you get involved and the citizens get out to vote, then the city of Penticton is better off. My name is Lynn Kelsey. I've lived in Penticton since 1994. My daughter graduated here, and both my children live and work here. And I'm asking for your vote on September 7th. Who am I? I'm a mother and grandmother. I'm a master trainer with the Canadian Diabetes Association and a patient advocate with Patient Voices Network. I'm a women's support worker. I work for South Okanagan Women in Need. I'm a long-time music teacher and performer. And as the community health representative for the Clayton First Nation bands in Prince George, I manage very large health care budgets. I'm also the treasurer for the South Okanagan Boundary Labour Council. We often describe who we are by what we do, just like what I just did, everything I do. That's what I do. But who I am is a Christian, and my beliefs and ethical standards are governed by my Christian beliefs. I'm not ashamed of my beliefs, and I don't park them at the door. If I did, I would not be true to who I am. My brochure tells you that I am the people's advocate, and the platform I am running on is truth, trust, and transparency. Integrity, when you look it up in the dictionary, is a firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values. Incorruptibility. I say what I mean what I say, and I do what I promise to do, and to the very best of my ability. The most important qualities I offer the people of Penticton are my integrity, my ability to listen without any judgment, my strong advocacy and facilitation skills, and my passion to make Penticton all it can be. I ran in 2011, said I was running again in 2014, and here I am now because it's really important to me. I've attended many city council meetings over the last few years. I bring intelligent and innovative thinking to the table, and I assure you that I am more than capable of getting up to speed quickly. I can hit the ground running because I've stayed involved in the city affairs. A friend of mine said on Facebook, "This is a woman who does things for the right reason, not personal gain." Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking fourth by random draw is Patrick Buchanan.
Thanks. Good evening. Welcome. I'm glad you guys could show up. I won't be needing the bell. My name is Patrick Buchanan. Anybody familiar with the U.S. elections? No, I'm not in any relationship to the Patrick Buchanan down in the States. I've lived in Penticton for 34 years. I'm a graduate of Penn High in 1983. I've done 3 Ironmans in this town. I have 2 children. I want to raise them in this town. It's a beautiful place to live and raise the children. I've worked in the service industry for 21 years. If I've worked at your house, most of you would recognize me. I'm honest with my customers. I'm open with my customers, and I provide the best service I can. My name is on every job that I do. my name is on every job that I will do for the city of Penticton and this council. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. And speaking last by random draw is Kevin Andrews.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming. I don't have a platform and I don't have an agenda. I'm here because I believe that we need a person who has a strong representative voice for the people in this room and the people in this community. I've been in the Okanagan for 35 years almost. I own houses or have a vested interest in property in 3 different communities. I've attended to some degree the meetings and the business doings in 3 different communities, Caremius, Oliver, and here. I understand what council needs. I understand what they do well and what they can work improvement on, and I can understand again what needs to be done here. I've been with Interior Health now for 23 years, and I believe in the healthcare system, and I understand how important the hospital facility is to this community. Beyond that, I've got about 10 years of hospitality industry. I ran restaurants at Bay White for a few years, and I have 4 kids going through my household, 3 of which are now attending university, and 1 still in high school. I believe I can make a difference on council. I'm not a person to sit back and just take things. I'm not much of a follower. I believe in questioning virtually everything because it makes people look at different sides of things and it makes them really understand where we're going before we decide on something. So I'm here to ask for your support and your vote, and I'm here because I believe I can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to now do some questions, and they were suggested to us by readers and selected by a panel. And hopefully we touch on what as many of you are interested in knowing. And we're going to go left to right alphabetically, and then we're going to shuffle it 1 spot every time. Okay, candidates, so is everybody ready? We're all set? Okay, here's your first question. Have you inhaled? Just kidding. You should have seen the looks here. Did Global get that? That was great. Okay, no, just having some fun, just judging you. Thank you. I'll be appearing at the Caremios Elks this Friday if anybody wants to. Okay, the first question, and again, you'll have 60 seconds, and the lovely Giselle will give you the bell at 60 seconds, and so try and wrap it up. Yep, it's everybody's question, but we're going to start with you, Kevin, because we're going to go alphabetically. And the question for all 5 is, do you think the regional district is a needed level of government that the people of Penticton should be paying 40% of the costs of? We're going to go left to right, 60-second answers or less. Kevin Andrews.
I'm not sure if 40% is the formula that we need, but I do know that the regional district serves a very valuable function. As previously mentioned, I have invested interest in property in 3 different communities, and it's important to have a regional area that represents the outlying areas rather than just the city itself. Penticton has a large interest in outlying communities, and there's a lot of people in the outlying areas that visit and support this community. So yeah, I believe that it's important. I would have to look into seeing what value number would actually be there. Whether 40% is it or not, I don't know yet.
Thank you. And your turn. Patrick Buchanan.
When I moved up here, we moved to Caledon, and that was my first place where I lived in this town. Yes, the RDOS is very valuable, but I believe Penticton has to come first, and we have to take care of ourselves first before we start looking at other regions to put the money into. If there was to be an amalgamation with it, I do believe that West Bench and Sage Mesa has to come on board with Penticton. The other areas, they've got some great representation with the people, their directors, and yeah, I believe Penticton needs to take care of itself first.
Thank you. That's great. And then at the panel, the 3 of you can share the 1 mic, please. Okay, Lynn Kelsey.
No, I have not inhaled. Anything but air. I believe the RDOS has a really good function. We have so many unique communities around, and they need to stay as their uniqueness, but work together to bring the best for this whole region. There's a lot of things that we'll get questions on later, like tourism and stuff. If we isolate ourselves and we try and operate in a silo, then we're not going to have as strong a presence in the whole area. So I really believe that the RDOS is important. Again, like Kevin, I'd have to look at the funding formula because I'm really not sure exactly where the funding is, but we do need the RDOS.
Thank you. Andre Martin.
Well, as stated in earlier, I'm all for having a look to see the value that the RDOS brings to us and what we bring to the RDOS. I do think it is an extra level of government that we don't need, and I think there's opportunities there for us to look at amalgamation or something along that lines, and share services and share opportunities. To me, that makes more sense. It's less government that we have to pay for.
Thank you. And Katie?
Thank you. Well, having been an RDOS director for 6 years, I would like to think that they have a very important role to play. There are 18 directors, 4 of which come from the city of Penticton, so we have good representation on the RDOS board, and as such, when you're voting in a block like that, you have a pretty big say. Amalgamation in theory sounds good sometimes, but I can assure you that the people in the outlying area do not want to pay the same taxes as we pay in Penticton, nor do we want to take on their debts. This is a very expensive venture, and you have to go into it with your eyes wide open and your homework done, because sewers and water systems are extremely expensive. So you want to be really, really sure of what you're doing when you start talking about that. Thank you.
Thank you. You're first, Patrick. Okay. Question number 2 from our media panel, as determined in advance. Patrick can answer first on this one, and it is pipes and potholes or beautification. What should the priorities of City Council be at this time? Patrick.
I do work downtown. The 1, 2, and 300 block of downtown is very beautiful. The 4, 5, 6, and 7 has been neglected. If we put all our money into one certain area of downtown, what are we going to do with the rest of it as it starts falling apart, which a lot of the downtown has? We need, as council, to make sure that all our basic services are met first, and then if there's any money left over, we'll look at beautifying certain parts of the area. But we have to make sure our basic needs are met first.
Thank you. Lynn Kelsey.
Well, I was always taught you take care of what you have. If you've got a car and you don't maintain it, it's not going to give you the service that you want out of it. If we don't maintain our infrastructure, we're not going to get the service. I had to go around a great big flood on Eckhart not too long ago because the pipes all broke. So it's really important for us to make sure that we're taking care of that infrastructure. Before we look at the beautification, we've got to have the money to do that. I have to put a roof over my head, food in my tummy, and the other necessities of life before I can go out and buy the new dress. And it only happens when we've got the money and the budget and the priorities. It's about balance. Let's balance it. I don't say that we don't do infrastructure at the expense of beautification, and we don't do beautification at the expense of infrastructure. Thank you.
Andre Martin.
Well, I think it's a balance. There has to be a balance to that. If you're talking specifically about the downtown, I know the infrastructure is aging and it's going to be have to be serviced in the next short while, and that's why beautification is being added to it, because as a business owner, I wouldn't want my business to be disrupted a couple of times over 3 or 4 years. I'd rather get it over with immediately. Similar to what they've done in Kelowna. I think, you know, as the business owners there have said that the way they planned it and did it made sense and it worked. As far as other parts, yes, infrastructure is, you know, that's important. We have to have it up first. And soon our SOEC will be paid off and there will be some extra funding that will be available to maybe redirect to getting some of those projects that are behind caught up and maybe look at some more beautification.
Katie Robinson.
Thank you. Well, I believe there's nothing more important than infrastructure. Water treatment plants, sewage plants, garbage dumps are not very glamorous to talk about, but that's what keeps our city functioning. So what's incumbent upon us as councillors and people who live here is that we have a long-term strategy to deal with that. What do we do in 20 years when we don't have any more room up at the landfill? So these are all things that have to be taken into consideration, and your capital works budget and the long-term budget is where you start saving for those eventualities, because sooner or later they're here. But in the meantime, if we need to beautify our city, if we get out a couple of good brooms and some Windex, it works well at my house when I want a new kitchen and I have to put it on hold for a few years because I can't afford it. So I would suggest the city would have to look at doing exactly the same thing. When the time is right, we can work on beautification, but in the meantime, you've got to fill in the potholes. Thank you.
Kevin Andrews.
Thank you. I don't believe you can have one without the other. I think infrastructure and beautification kind of go along the idea of restaurant food, beautification being how it looks, infrastructure being how it tastes. We both want all of it. The reality is we have to find a way to pace it with the money that comes in. We can look at infrastructure as a way of sustaining our future and attracting future business, and we can look at the beautification project as something that perhaps businesses could sponsor, get some kind of a tax rebate. Perhaps they could pay back a portion over time as they made their business more attractive to the public, again, to attract more people. Equally important, we'd have to look at a funding formula that would work to try and make sure we have both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a new question, and this is submitted by a Herald reader, Gerald Kenyon. It's quite detailed, so listen carefully, candidates, please. The recently approved downtown plan provides for the cultural, residential, and commercial development of the Creekside Ellis Street corridor from Nanaimo Avenue to Okanagan Lake. It also recognizes the need for a modern performing arts center. Therefore, to enable that our downtown to reach its full potential as an entire vibrant Penticton, would you, if elected, give high priority to implementing the corridor concept, including the construction of the South Okanagan Performing Arts Center as the hub of it, as the anchor? And Lynn Kelsey, you're up first.
Well, I think you heard me say I'm a music teacher and I'm a performer, so performing arts is in my blood. But it's about the balance. And yes, I'd love to see the corridor up and going and become vibrant. But again, it's about a timeline. It's about affording it. It's about making sure that as we make it a priority, we make it a priority if we can afford to do it at the time. I would love to see a performing arts center. I don't know that immediately now is the time for it. I think it's something we should plan for, save for, budget for, and work for.
Thank you. Andre Martin.
Well, I too was on the downtown Revite board, and the visioning came out of what the folks wanted. But certainly the art center, I don't think is something that we can afford right now, unless we get a private investor to come in and build the building, and then maybe it would be up to the city to donate the land to put it on. The Cleveland Center is there. It's a great facility. I don't think it's used enough for those sort of things. And when that's at capacity, then I think it's time maybe we could look at building another center.
Thank you. Katie Robinson.
Thank you. Where to start on this one? The corridor idea is wonderful, and it's a great place for what I've been talking about previously, which is long-term planning. And there is no question that SOPAC, the South Okanagan Performing Arts Center, will act someday as a real catalyst for our downtown area. I can envision the downtown where people live and work, and they walk and they work downtown. It would be great to revitalize it, but this is a long-term project. It's not something that's going to be undertaken, and right now, with global economics in a crisis situation all over the world, this would be considered a want, not a need. And right now is the time to tighten our belts and get serious about budgets. So yes, for the long term, it'll be a great project, and where there's a will, there's a way, and I have no doubt that someday it will be wonderful to have it here. I envision Penticton on another day.
Thank you.
That seems to be happening a lot.
Kevin Andrews.
I think it's a great idea, but I think that we also need to look at budgetary constraints and the way economics are within this community. Let's not bite off more than we can chew as a city. Let's make sure that we also spread that form of wealth around the community and make sure that we develop this community end to end. Let's make a corridor from one end of the city to the other that people can enjoy, not just focus on one area. Absolutely, a performing arts center would be a great thing to have, but the reality is it's an expense, and we need to be awfully cautious how we spend money we don't have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Patrick Buchanan.
Nice thing about going last is they all answer the question for me. I'm not a big arts person. I am a cultural person. I believe all cultures need to be recognized in this town. Scottish Highland Games is coming back, and that to me is something close to my heart. I don't think we're ready to build another building. We need to get the SOEC paid off first. We need to look at all our other buildings, Memorial Arena, that still is a city building, McLaren Park Arena, and all those buildings have to be taken care of first before we build another building in this town. There is nothing wrong with Cleveland Theater. I am surprised it was never part of the pool expansion. I believe it should have been. It is a good facility. I've seen lots of concerts there, and I've seen lots of shows there and lots of ski films there. There are a lot of small little community theaters in this town that should and I believe do get support. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, new question for the candidates for the by-election in 2013. We have advance polls coming Wednesday and Thursday at City Hall. For those who will be away, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And please put in your day planners. Saturday, September 7th is voting day at a polling station near you. Question number 4 is, do you support a wage increase of between 10 to 15% for senior management to bring them in line with Chilliwack? Andre Martin.
Well, that's great if we could all get it, but, and I, I mean, I'm one for paying everybody as much as we possibly can, but the reality is, no way. That has to be based on what the private sector is paying, what other public sector unions are negotiating, and coming somewhere in that neighborhood. I think we do have an advantage here, is that we have a great work lifestyle, and that's something that we can use to our benefit to convince people that, yes, maybe we pay 2% lower than everybody else, but look at what you have around you to enjoy as part of your lifestyle.
Thank you. Katie Robinson.
I think what Andre was referring to was the sunshine tax, is what I've always heard it called. I think we could probably all unanimously say no. Raises are not in the budget. I mean, let's get serious. Most people are glad to have a job these days, let alone get a raise. Cost of living would certainly, be something that we could talk about in the future. What really concerns me, though, is that we've got this rumor going around town that senior staff was about to get a large raise. Well, I can tell you from experience that no one on council in their right mind would consider giving senior staff a raise when they're about to go into union negotiations just about a month or two from now. That's kind of like cutting off your nose in spite of your face. So I don't know where the rumors started, but it seems a little bit ludicrous to me that anybody would actually be considering it.
Thank you. Kevin Andrews.
My last raise was just over 1%. I wouldn't support a 10 or 15% raise for anyone, anywhere, at any time. The reality is what they do needs to compare with other communities and other services of equal value, equal size, and equal work, and go from there. Tying it to a cost of living would be the first thing I would certainly recommend, and then look at what people need to survive. Public services such as city council, such as boards of education, any of those kind of jobs are here to serve the public, and yeah, they deserve to be paid, and it's a reasonable job, and there's lots that we do. But nobody deserves that type of raise. Absolutely no one.
Thank you. Okay. Microphone malfunction. Patrick Buchanan.
No. That's a lot of money. Alex Rodriguez would get that kind of money, but look what he did to get it. Yeah, I don't support that. I would support, and I've talked to people about a cost of living. I think everybody has a right to that. I think before managers or senior management ever considers themselves getting a raise, they have to give it to the workers that are out on the fields, that are out on our electrical, that are doing the work out in the field. They're the ones that need the support. They're the ones that keep City of Penticton where it is and what it is and that. So, God, that'd be nice if I got that kind of a raise. My owner, my boss, and I hold him to it. He said I would get a raise before he would get it, and he would make sure that we were taken care of first, and I hold him to that. And I expect you people to hold me to that. If I were to say, yeah, we're not giving a raise, I want you to keep me accountable for that. Thanks.
Thank you. Lynn Kelsey.
Well, I've got a 1.5% raise this year, and that means my starting wage in my sector is still $1.50 less than it was in 1999. So no. I have sat at the bargaining table for the community social services sector, where we've been told 0, 0, 0, 0 as workers, and upper management in Community Living BC got a 10% bonus and 10% increase. No. The workers need a fair bargaining, collective bargaining time. They need to be able to put the issues on the table, be treated in a respectful manner, and cost of living at the very minimum. Let's not let them get any farther behind. And if we are going to tie that in, management doesn't get anything more than the workers do.
Thank you. Question number 5, and Katie, you're up first with this. Do you believe that the present council has been open and transparent with the general public?
Oh, sure. Let me go first on that one. I believe I'm on record for saying that I would be a strong proponent to going back to the committee of the whole. It's a little bit easier for me because that's what we were using the last time I sat on council for almost a decade, and I believe we did have very open meetings at that time. It is a great place for anybody who's interested to come and listen to the discussions and the debates, and so you know how agonizing each decision is on which potholes we're going to fill in. But I think I'll leave it at that for this evening.
Thank you. You're up, Kevin. The question, Kevin Andrews.
You know, it's a real tough question. I think it's a lot easier for us all to sit on this side of the table than it is on that side of the table. That being said, I wouldn't want to judge any individual person, whether they've been honest or forthright or open with everything they've done. I can tell you that that's what we need to do. I think it's unfortunate that politics has taken a turn where everything that everybody says becomes a governing point for the next time they get elected. Perhaps if we could enter the field doing what is the right thing to do for the right reason and keeping the public informed and open and being on our side and being honest, we wouldn't be where we are today with many issues in front of us. Thank you.
Patrick Buchanan.
I believe all councils, strata councils, soccer councils, school councils, have to be open with the people, have to let them know what's going on. I, for one, haven't honestly been following much about what's going on with the city. To me, I feel comfortable with them being honest with me and that. But yes, we do have to be honest with each other, and councils have to be honest with the people that put them in there. So if it comes down to it's not, or they're being secretive, then we have to let them know if they're being that way.
Thank you. Lynn Kelsey.
Truth, trust, and transparency. It's right on the front of my brochure. That's what I'm about. I don't believe that the council has been operating in a way that shows that they are trying to be transparent. There has been some improvements in that some of the committee meetings are now not all being held in camera. I'd like to see more openness. If there's something that's going to happen, if the council needs an in-service on something so that they can make a decision, let the people know that that in-service is going to happen. And if you want to go and get that information, you can go and get that information. In-camera meetings should be for things like legal, land, labor. That's what they're for under Section 90, and that's what they should be for. Everything else needs to be out in the open, and we need to find a way of making that without making the council meetings go till midnight every second Monday.
Thank you. Andre Martin.
Well, I think we all want open and transparent government from all levels, not just municipal. Committee of the Whole was there in the past, and you know, it sort of maybe has gone away from what it used to be, but that could be just the way it is, and that is because a lot of us, you know, I mean, I go to quite a few council meetings, and there's 3 or 4 people sitting in the audience. I've checked with them to see how many have watched online. They can do that, and it's been as little as 10 people watching a council meeting online. So to me, that's one of the reasons is that council meetings are too long, too going, and people have become apathetic towards them. So I think if we went back to committee of the whole, it would lengthen those meetings, and that may deter more people from not wanting to join the process. This is great tonight. We were all told it was going to be an hour, and I think that's everybody's committed to putting an hour in, and that's great. So I'm kind of like with Patrick. I think we have to trust them, and come 3 years next year or 3 years down after that, we all have an opportunity to judge them at that point.
Thank you. We're just smoking along through these questions. This is great. Thank you. Wonderful audience. Who said there's not an interest in this by-election? This is fantastic. We filled the place tonight. Thank you for coming out. We still have time for lots of questions. This one's kind of interesting question because it doesn't really have anything to do with politics, so maybe a 5 or 10 second answer from everyone, although you can have up to a minute if you want. What was the last book that you read? Kevin?
The last book that I read all of probably would go back as far as War and Peace. And it's a long, boring book for many people, but I kind of get into that history type stuff. So it's probably, I'm not much on modern novels, and most of the stuff I read now is strictly dry kind of psychology or history or actual fact stuff. So thank you.
Okay. Patrick, last book that you read?
My wife gets upset with me because I can read 3 books at one time. I just finished one that had to do with the Nova Scotia families back in the 1800s operating a lighthouse. I am in the process right now. I can't remember the name of it. It's also a Canadian book. It also has to do with the East Coast, and it has to do with, and my neighbors here, Newfoundland fishermen and Newfoundland families that have transferred over, came over back in the 1800s from Scotland, and that's what I'm reading right now.
Thank you. Lynn?
The last book I was reading was the Bible, and my mother wants me to read The Wheat Belly. She gave it to me for my birthday, so it's next, I guess.
Okay, good one. Andre? Share the mics.
The last book that I finished reading was 4 Hour Work Week, and I'm on a book right now called Made to Stick.
Okay, Katie?
Game of Thrones, all 5 books. I finished the 4th and realized I was only halfway through the story, so I just finished Dancing with Dragons. In case you've all missed it, it's on the HBO series. You don't have to read the book, you can watch the movie. It's wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. Patrick, you're up next. This question was submitted by the Penticton and Wine Country Chamber of Commerce, and it is, if elected, what can you offer in terms of increased funding for economic development and job creation in Penticton? What suggestions can you offer for those? Okay, sure. If elected, what suggestions can you offer that will result in increased funding for economic development and job creation? And Patrick, you're up. Yeah, I probably didn't word it well. I guess what they're looking for is economic development and job creation. What suggestions do you have? And I think everyone on the panel is obviously in favor of economic development and job creation, but what would you suggest that we can do to achieve that?
What jobs do you want us to bring here? I mean, other than good paying jobs, I think we all want that, but this is something that I'm not really strong in economic development. When I graduated from high school here, there were not a lot of big paying jobs. The ones that were here were all industry, light industry. There was, ADCO was here. There was a hot tub manufacturing plant. And they've all gone. Yeah, did I die? Hello? Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer this question. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Test up. Test, test. Up. Test, test, test. Test, test. Test, test. Test, test. Okay. Test, test.
Economic development is critical to keeping our young people here. So we've got to have jobs that are going to be paying them well enough to be here. We in Penticton, I learned this statistic just the other day from a friend that, bottom 10% for the wages. Bottom 10%. Why are we paying a sunshine tax? Why are we doing that happening? I'd like to see a living wage come into Penticton so that the people that are here are making a wage that will sustain them and that they can have a quality of life because they're not working two jobs.
Working yet?
No. Okay, if everyone could just use a really loud theatrical voice, like you're shouting to Scotty at the back.
Use your outside voice.
Test,
We're good?
Okay.
Well, I think there's a number of things we can do for, to help grow jobs and get economic prosperity happening. One is certainly we can look at the tax rate that we are charging businesses. These are the people that employ all of our people in town, and yet we want to charge them more than other people that pay taxes. I think they should pay a little bit more, but certainly not the rate that they're at, and that has to be looked at. And that could be, those rates come down, could be to hiring staff. They get a certain percentage if they hire so many staff, and the staff are there for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever the formulas work out. There's another opportunity there with the high-tech sector, I do believe. If we load up Colleen with some extra staff, that's a place we can certainly target. It's clean industry. It brings young people here, and they can work from anywhere, and why not work from here?
Thank you.
Well, this brings me back to my 3-minute speech. Our seniors. This is one of the fastest growing segments in today's population worldwide, and it's being overlooked. I believe that marketing Penticton as a retirement destination, along with long-term health care industry, this could provide an incredible economic boon for this city. It would have increased tax revenues while at the same time providing better jobs for our younger generation. There's doctors, nurses, trades, service industries. They would all benefit from this symbiotic relationship. I think you've all seen the commercial, the little guy who doesn't get the ice cream cone because he's not the new customer. It often occurred to me, instead of trying to encourage new economic development growth here, why don't we offer incentives to the businesses that have been here, that built Penticton from the ground? Give them some tax incentives or some kind of incentive to grow, and let them hire our younger generation and have them as apprentices and learn a trade and work with OUC. That's the way we'll get to economic development.
Thank you. Thank you. Kevin Andrews.
Yeah, there's no question this is a tourism community and a senior-based community, and a lot of businesses put a lot of work into building us to where we are today, but we are a tourism mecca. We are one of the hot spots in Canada and the place to be, and we need to recognize that. We need to focus on the idea that we could have a 4 full-season playground in this place. Let's work together with other communities that are of similar nature and set up tourism packages to bring people here. Let's focus this place during the rest of the time of the year as a retirement community or as a place to retire, even if you're not of that age. Let's bring people in here that want to spend their money, spend their time here. It'll bring businesses that want to develop and grow here. But we are a tourism community. We have to recognize that every single day of the year, we could bring business in here, we could bring people in here. Growth comes from other people's money, not from our own. We need to make sure that we bring that in here safely, economically, and without upsetting the people that live here, without driving people away. We need to do it in a relative, conscious manner that is respectful to the community we live in. Thank you.
Okay, brand new question, and Lynn is answering first. Thank you to the sound tech guys for getting us back up live. Appreciate that. Lynn Kelsey and panel, the question is what can we do to improve tourism in Penticton in 60 seconds or less?
In 60 seconds or less. Tourism in Penticton, we need to invite our tourists year-round and make sure that we're marketing not only what we're doing in the summer. We've got some amazing festivals. Let's promote those festivals more, add other festivals. around what's happening. Also take a look at our winter sports, and we've got a youth ski race that is the only one, downhill ski race, is the only one in Canada that we're going to lose because we haven't got people to run it. So let's really promote what we have and do a really good job of what we've got to do that.
Thank you.
Well, there's a number of things we can do with Tourism Penticton, and I do believe that the SOEC and the Convention Center are doing a good job of getting people here. The concerts, you see the spin-off in the hotels and the motels from the concerts, so that is working. One of the things is that Tourism Penticton and the Hospitality Association are working towards working together. They've kind of been separate for a while. They are working together, and that's going to be a big plus when they get working on the same page. For me, I have a lot of contacts in Calgary and do business there, and the biggest thing I hear from people from there is they need a direct flight to Penticton. And I know we're all jumping around about WestJet and Encore, but the reality is if you're sitting in their boardroom, you're not looking at Penticton because there's a number of other places on their list first. So I think our first order of business is to get back with Jazz, keep working with them. They already have the infrastructure in here. It's not that expensive for them to come, and that would pay us a lot of dividends right there.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think first and foremost, we should be really concentrating on our convention center. We own the second largest convention center in British Columbia, only second to Canada Place in Vancouver. Back in the 90s, we did a wonderful job of marketing the convention center, and I think we've dropped the ball on that. Since the last election, the SOEC has definitely, picked up their bootstraps, and they're bringing in more concerts and doing a much better job. But it wasn't until the spotlight really hit them that they started to do that. So I think it's incumbent on this council to work with Global Spectrum and whoever else in the future may get the contract and really key in on who's selling our Trade and Convention Center. And we should be marketing it to the 5-year conventions that bring in trade shows attached, something similar to the BC Fire Chiefs Association that came in. That way we're going to be making the most out of our assets.
Kevin.
So let's borrow that line from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. There is no question that a flight here from a major airline would be a great promotional asset, but it may not happen right away. The reality is we have a jewel here. We can promote this place by linking up with other communities and setting up tourism packages to draw people in here all the way down the Okanagan. They can start and do something in Vernon, do something in Kelowna, come down here and rest and finish off their tour. We all do it when we travel in the States, and there's no question that the Okanagan doesn't have the ability to draw people everywhere. We just need to put packages together with other tourism areas and other communities to say, make us a part of your trip. Set up a trip where we can run people by bus, by car, by whatever it takes, but get them here year-round. And find a way to target groups. I understand that there's a huge issue sometimes when you bring in a louder group versus a quieter group, the family groups versus the young people that want to party and have some fun. Let's look at the two of them. Let's find a way to target each of them for an event that meets their needs and their social goals so they can come in here and spend their money and develop this community. Together, we certainly can do it, but it's going to take linking up with other communities and promotional packages to draw people in here all the time. Year-round, end-to-end, we can certainly do it here. Thank you.
Patrick.
Like I said, I like going last because they answer the questions for me. My background's in sports. Sports tourism is one thing that I believe in. I like to see more soccer tournaments here. We've got a world-class soccer facility at Kings Park. If you've never been down there, you've got to go down there and see this place. We have a world-class event center with the SOEC, an Olympic-size rink. You guys have been there. You know what that is all about there. We need to pick up on the softball. We need to bring in more softball tournaments here. More eco-tourism. We have the KVR, which can be used for wine tours. Back in the 90s, when a lot of these wineries, I think there was like 4 of them at this one time, maybe 5, we ran some very, very successful wine tours on bikes before the KVR even existed, before the trail, over Randolph Draw and all that. It was up on the ridge or on the road and that, but they were very successful. And I can see that happening. I'd like to see more bike. The Grand Fondo.
Thank you. And that's it. So Andre Martin gets the first question, and it's also for the entire panel. And should affordable housing be a priority to the next council?
Well, certainly affordable housing, it should be a priority for every level of government. I think we do have an opportunity. We want to have more density downtown, and that's a great opportunity to create some of that type of housing in the downtown core. All the amenities are down there, and that works. We can also tie it to a couple of the other neighborhoods, but you need people to build those buildings and do that, so you're going to have to come up with some sort of incentive programs, much like the incentive programs we have in place now. And yeah, I'm sure that there's a need. There's always a need, and if we build it, maybe they will come.
Thank you. Katie?
Well, I think affordable housing is something that's critical especially for council to pay attention to and work on. Affordable housing kind of goes across the whole spectrum, from seniors to our youth, students, and also lower income families. So it's extremely important that we take care of probably the most vulnerable in our society. I'm a very big fan of looking at partnerships with either private or other levels of government to try and build some more affordable housing, and would certainly lobby other levels of government for that. There are service groups like the Kinsmen who have done wonderful work in the past, and Habitat for Humanity is also another one. They just finished one house, and they're about to start a sixplex in the next year. So that's another one that we can partner up with the city and give them some incentives to do that. But it's definitely something that needs to be a priority, and I think we could work with OUC on that one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
Clearly, affordable housing needs to be on everyone's mind in every community, in every city, everywhere. Nobody should have to go without. It is a fundamental right in this country to have a place to live. But what's affordable? How do we define what is affordable when we look at a range of people in age from 15 to 100? How do we look at affordable when we look at a range of wages where people are making $10 an hour and others are making $50 an hour? It's a difficult topic, and yeah, the city needs to be involved with it. We need to look at buildings that are either empty or hotels that are, not used as much, partner up with social services and try and find a way to make some of these houses available for people. And again, partnering up with the universities and the colleges to do develop programs to build buildings that make it affordable to people, but make it a work-developed program where everything isn't just out there and not managed properly, because not managing social services is not good for the public at all. So yeah, affordable housing has got to be an issue. Every single time we climb into our warm bed at night, affordable housing needs to be an issue for every one of us, and certainly the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm very fortunate to live where I do. But for affordable housing, like Kevin said, how do you define it? How do you draw the line on what's affordable and what's not? I believe if Penticton has the land, it can be donated, it should be donated, but we have to have private partnerships with this too. Kinsman Housing has done really good, the Columbus Housing has done really good, and that Penticton can help out where they can on this issue. Thanks.
Thank you. Lynn?
I work at the transition house. Affordable housing is the biggest issue for the ladies and the children that are fleeing abuse, and they can stay with us for 30 days. Then where do they go? There's nothing out there for them that is not only affordable, but safe and affordable. Oftentimes they go out into situations that are unsafe because there's nothing affordable. BC Housing and Canadian Mental Health has done a really good partnership with Skaha Sunrise down at the old Hansel and Gretel, and providing some units there for folks that are living with mental illness and being able to do that. We need more of those partnerships. We need to be able to put it on the forefront. We need a second stage house for women who are fleeing abuse, women and children, because 30 days just doesn't cut it. So we as a council need to be looking at all the options that we can to provide affordable housing both in the rental market and affordable housing for the people that are buying.
Thank you. Well, 55 minutes goes by pretty quickly. We're going to allow each of our council candidates a 60-second wrap-up, and we are going to do it in reverse order from the draw at 6:30. So 10-minute wrap, or 10-minute big burn, 60-second wrap-up. Kevin Andrews will be speaking first. Kevin.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up here. I'd like to thank the co-candidates here for putting their name up here. It is never easy to stand in front of other people and talk what you believe in and speak with your heart. The reality is here, I believe I can make a difference, and I'm here to ask for your support on voting day, because I believe that getting into council, I will question everything. I will stand behind each one of you and make a difference for you. It's not just about what I want, it's about making a difference for the people in this room and the rest of the people in this community. So again, on election day, I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick Buchanan.
I also want to thank everybody for coming out. This whole thing has been a pretty exciting experience for me, for my family, and for my children. Huge learning, and that I'm happy to see that there are people that are concerned what goes on in this town, and that I'm not going into this for me. I'm going in this for you. I'm going in this for all the children in this town. So I ask for your support. I will be there for you, and I will be honest. Thanks.
Thank you. Lynn Kelsey.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is thank you again, and thank you to the Herald for providing this opportunity for us to be able to speak to you and for you taking the time to be out here. Please, I implore you, get out and vote. You've got 5 candidates here that are putting forth their life to step up and try and be your representative. So get out and vote. Do your part. And I hear there's going to be a shuttle bus too. So for those of you that live at this end of town, there's going to be a bus. Business interests are well represented at the council table at this time, and it's now time now for the people to be represented. I'm on the ground. I work in the community. I work in community social services. I know what the services are, and I know where the gaps are too. I'm asking for your vote, and I promise you truth, trust, and transparency. That's what you'll get with a vote for Lynn Kelsey on September 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Katie Robinson.
I'd like to thank the Penticton Lakeside for putting this on this evening, and also the Herald, our best. Our city needs experienced, good, strong leadership in some very troubled economic times. I left the city on solid financial ground the last time, and it is my commitment to you as the taxpayers to make sure that it continues along that course. I am prepared to give the city my full attention with no other business concerns and no conflicts of interest. This evening, I'm asking for your support once again to build a better and stronger Penticton. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to get involved with your community. On September the 7th, please vote for positive experience. Vote for Katie Robinson. Thank you.
And Andre Martin.
I too want to thank you all for coming out. I know there's lots going on, and it's really appreciated that you come and hear what we have to say. Katie talked about, walking the talk and that, and I believe I've done that too in this community. I have worked with the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Revite Committee. I ran the Downtown Penticton Association. I was on for 11 years and 2 years as president. I've worked with the Community Foundation of the South Okanagan, understanding the needs of the community that way. Not to mention minor hockey, the Young Stars, and a number of other groups. So I have given a lot to this community. I hear what people are saying, and I know what people are saying, and I think I can bring a different look to council, one that looks at issues and opportunities in a completely different way. But more importantly, I'm looking ahead. I'm looking down the road to see what we're going to do to take care of our children, my grandchildren, all of that. I want a place that people will be glad to be here, will come here in droves to buy our houses and our businesses. Thank you.
And for those of you who may have had difficulty hearing just the brief 2 minutes or whatever, or want to hear this meeting again in its entirety, or encourage your friends to listen to it tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. www.socountry.ca is going to have audio of it. And early next week, we will also have this meeting posted on the Herald's website. We're going to take a 15-minute break. You don't have to go home, but if you do, we can understand. But please stick around if you wish, because the mayoral candidates are up. One last time, great answers panel. We have some really neat people up here, so please get out and vote. Kevin, Patrick, Lynn, Andre, Katie, big hand for our candidates. And thank you. And I can't speak for them because some of them might be going out the side door or whatever, but I think they will be in the lobby in between during our break. So by all means, please come say hello. I think everybody brought brochures or whatever. And we're going to take a quick break, and I'll see everybody at 7:45 for our mayoral candidates. Thank you.